Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 10 of Into the Stands. I'm Colin here with Chris, Robbie, and for the first ever time on the show, we're joined here with a guest. We have Christian with us here today. Welcome, Christian.
What's up, guys?
So, as the title suggests, we're going to be talking mostly about the 2022 World Cup, the biggest event going on in sports right now. Now, I personally am not the biggest soccer fan, so, occasionally I may come in, give a couple of predictions here and there, but I am keeping up with the spirit here, as you can maybe see. I'm wearing a 1994 Ireland World Cup jersey. Unfortunately, Ireland is not in it. They haven't been in it since 1994, but hey, maybe one day. But I'll leave it to you guys. So how about we get into this 2022 World Cup?
Yeah, it's a lot of very exciting time, despite the tournament being in freaking November. I think the World Cup, for those who don't know, is a glorious spectacle where FIFA destroys a country's economics. Does anyone even want to win this World Cup for how much corruption there's been? We don't have to go. We're not going to go really into it because there's a lot, and
It's a good documentary.
It's a good documentary for sure. But I feel like we'd go too long to begin with. But we're gonna begin with what we're gonna do today to begin this show is we're gonna go group by group. Each of us have a couple groups to preview. We're gonna begin with Chris and Group A. Chris, dive right into it for us.
Group A features the host country, Qatar, along with Ecuador, Senegal, and the Netherlands. I think we should just rename this the Netherlands group. I think they're easily winning this group.
You could do that.
I think they're going to win this group with a resounding 9 points. I think they're going to win all of these games. The Netherlands, a really young team, really good. I don't see any real flaws with this team other than in goal. Jasper Cillessen, longtime goalie from Barcelona, or previously from Barcelona, is not going to be a part of this roster, and neither is Tim Krul, the 2014 quarterfinals savior for the Netherlands. I think it's Remco Pasveer is going to be starting, a 39-year-old goalie from the Dutch league.
I think so.
And I don't know about that. I mean, obviously, I know they know more about their players than we do, but I'm not entirely. I can't say I'm too optimistic for them in goal. But to make up for it, they have a really good center back duo with Matthijs de Ligt and, of course, Virgil van Dijk from Liverpool. I think you'd be hard pressed to find a better center back duo in this World Cup than that. Like, that's clearly the best too. Definitely makes up for the problems in goal. Not to mention they have Frankie de Jong, this young center mid from Barcelona. A couple other players, and Memphis Depay, along with other nice players. I think it's Nathan Ake.
Nathan Ake, yeah.
Nathan Ake. I believe they have a center back from Manchester United who I forgot his name. Also, not to mention their veteran manager coming out of retirement, Louis van Gaal, formerly from Manchester United and the Netherlands. But I have the Netherlands clearly winning this group. Coming in second, I'm actually going to go Ecuador now.
Ecuador,
because we just found out that Senegal is not going to have Sadio Mane, and that's huge for them. That is huge. Now it's one player, right? And as good as he is, he's one player. But I think Ecuador, with getting to this World Cup, to be honest, I don't know many players from Ecuador, but getting to this World Cup ahead of the likes of Colombia, Chile,
Peru. Peru did make it, but you got some other squads in there. Bolivia. I gotta mention Bolivia because they were red hot to start and then lost to Venezuela. Venezuela, Paraguay. So that's another name to add as well.
Senegal is a nice team. I definitely want to watch out what's going to go on there between Ecuador and Senegal in that game, because Senegal has Edouard Mendy from Chelsea in goal and also Kalidou Koulibaly. Great center back.
Their defense is loaded. Like, if you haven't watched any Senegalese football, they went in AFCON back in 2021. They allowed 0 goals in the group stage. Their issue was they scored one whole goal. It was against Zimbabwe on the road to winning the whole thing.
That's
so
a strong point. That's their bread and butter. But at some point, it's gonna crack down.
Exactly.
They're gonna no attack.
Losing group
Mane
stage
was
around
there.
16. Yeah.
Mane was their guy, and without him, it's gonna be very hard to score about a bunch of goals.
Yeah, he was the catalyst, the X factor for this team. And then coming in last is Qatar, the host country. I'm sorry. I don't know.
They're kind of competent though. At the end of the day,
they're kind of
in your home country. I mean, I understand the confidence, but at the same time, like, we're talking from a talent standpoint, like compared to the Netherlands, it's like it's just not fair at that in those regards.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they're going to do a good job. I know there's already a lot of controversy going on, but I think, very nice stadiums they built. But this is a country that didn't even have a stadium until a few years ago.
Crazy.
To play professional soccer. So I can't say I have high hopes for them in this in the World Cup or in this group. So my final prediction for this group: Netherlands 1, Ecuador 2, Senegal and Qatar are not going to make it. They're going to finish 3rd and 4th.
All right, that's a good prediction. Now it's time to head over to group letter B, which is my group, which features England, USA, Iran, and Wales. I'm going to begin with my group predicted winner, and that is England. England, one of the better teams on paper. If you look at their team from a whole, they have a lot of youth players: Mason Mount, Jude Bellingham, just to name a couple. Phil Foden as well from Manchester City, along with some established veterans and Harry Kane and Jordan Pickford in goal, which we get to go into him in a second. For qualifying, we're going to dive into that real quick. Pretty straightforward, despite having to deal with Lewandowski or Lewandowski, is how some may say it, in Poland, but also some underdogs, some teams that people may not have really heard about in Hungary and Albania, both teams that are pretty competent and would make the Euros. Question marks on this team's their depth at center back for me. Harry Maguire. I don't think I need to say anything else. Along with players maybe like John Stones and Eric Dyer. That's maybe not the best center back duo or trio that we could possibly see going into this tournament. The formation they played, it's pretty consistent, 4-5-1 or 4-3-3. It's very good. I love their wings. Their forwards are very competent. They should win this group. Not as easy as some may think it is, but I feel like they could come out with 7 or 9 points. In second, I got to go with the United States of America. Despite them not making the World Cup in 2018, they have come back to finish in 3rd in CONCACAF World Cup qualifying, which, if you don't know how it works, one giant octagonal with 8 teams, 14 matches. USA finishes in 3rd based on goal difference of being 9 better than Costa Rica. But they're very inexperienced in the World Cup because the only main player that's returning for 2014, you can even argue if he was on the team, is Pulisic, and he was technically a youth player on that team. So their youth is emerging with guys like Gio Reyna, just as a major name, Brendan Arison, who's had a resurrection with Leeds. He's had a very good season. But the issue with them, they've never been fully healthy. Their squad's never been fully healthy. Like when you look at a team, like you watch them in qualifying, sometimes you didn't see Weston McKennie. He got hurt. Right now, you're not seeing Miles Robinson at center back. He's been out for a while. Sometimes you haven't seen Christian Pulisic, and especially towards the beginning when you didn't really see him against El Salvador, Honduras, and possibly Jamaica. But I mean, they're the second highest ranked team in North America. I do have them coming second in the group on 5 points. I feel like they're a team that is pretty competent, but the issue is going to be at center back with the lack of depth. Walker Zimmerman and possibly Cameron Carter-Vickers at center back. I mean, Carter-Vickers plays at Celtic. I don't know how you really rate them this year. They've had a very mixed bag season. So, I mean, Walker Zimmerman has looked phenomenal, though, at center back. So, I have them coming in second. In third, I have Wales, Gareth Bale, and that's pretty much their team. First World Cup for them since 1950. They had a very solid qualifying campaign, finishing only behind Belgium. But like I said, they're very one-dimensional. They went to the European playoff, beat Austria on a free kick by who but Gareth Bale. And then they scored an open field winner versus Ukraine by Gareth Bale. He had all 3 goals in the playoff. And if you look at how, like, I feel like they could get grouped because I don't feel like, despite Gareth Bale being one of the best players in the world still, I don't feel like they have enough depth on their team in really any position to really get out of this group. They can make the knockouts, but Gareth Bale and someone else has to emerge. I mean, the only player like that's really notable on this team, you could argue he's notable, is Aaron Ramsey, former Arsenal gunner, but I feel like I have them coming in third on 4 points. And in last is Iran. Now, Iran, very interesting team, one of the better teams in Asia. They have never made it out of the group in the World Cup. I don't know how they've done this, but they won their final round qualifying group while also beating South Korea once and Sung Hyung Min. But they've really never played a truly other competent team in qualifying. You can argue teams like Iraq and Bahrain, which they were very good, and they also each of them drew Iran in the first round of qualification. But they're a very interesting team, Iran. A lot of cohesion with this team. They're a very strong, connected group because a lot of the guys don't play in Europe or anywhere else. They usually play in the Qatar League or in the Iranian League. So they have a lot of cohesion and they know how to play together. Unfortunately, I do have them coming in last. England and USA make it out of the group. Now we go back over to Chris with Group C.
Actually, is Pickford starting for England?
Yes, they are.
I don't like that.
It's
I think-
it's
I
either
think it
him
should
or
be- I think
Ramsdale.
it should be
Do you think
Ramsdale.
it should be Ramsdale?
He's
I
been-
mean, I think it
he's
should be
been money.
Ramsdale.
He's been
But with the
money
way
for us.
Southgate runs his team, I think it's going to be
I don't.
Jordan Pickford.
And I-
Ramsdale's legit.
And I heard he's not starting Alexander Arnold. Also,
Wow.
I don't like that personally. I don't know.
He's one of the best right backs in the world.
That's-
How do you
That's
do
what I
that?
heard. I don't know. I could maybe that something changed.
It has to be
It was
some
when they
change.
first
That's
announced.
crazy.
It was when they first announced their
Yeah.
the squad they were sending.
He's the complete package, Alexander Arnold. That's
Yeah.
what I don't understand.
Yeah.
Like,
I guess because maybe he lacks a little defense. They think, but
yeah,
I think he's great.
But
so
overall, he's just a beast. Like,
He
it
is,
just
yeah.
doesn't make sense. And Ramsdale, Pickford's so hot and cold. Like, he has moments that it's just like he's just, I don't know.
Now up to Chris with
Yeah,
Group C
Group
with
C. Argentina, Saudi Arabia, Mexico, and Poland. So in this group, pretty sure I think it's fairly straightforward. But I'm gonna have Argentina winning this group. I'm gonna have Mexico advancing to the round of 16.
no
and
Lewandowski.
Poland and Saudi Arabia. It's the end of the road already. Listen, I'll bring up something. Look, now this is coming from someone who's part Mexican, right? So I'll say this. So I know a little more about them, right? It's like I do with the U.S. Mexico, in recent memory, they live up to the stakes when it comes to big group games. I mean, you go back 2010, they beat France in a group game. Till 2014, a really hard-fought tie draw against Brazil. 2017 Confederations Cup, hard-fought draw against Portugal. 2018 World Cup, they beat Germany. And the only reason Mexico didn't win that group is because of Sweden, not because of Germany. And
Yeah.
everyone thought it was going to be because of Germany. They
are that Sweden
terrible
team was
game.
so
They-
good.
that was a rough game they played against Sweden in 2018, lost 3-0. I'm not saying they're going to beat Argentina because historically, I don't think they've ever even drawn a game against Argentina.
I don't think so. I think they've lost every game.
They've lost every single game, and I have Argentina. We'll get to what I think is going to happen in the final. Let's just say I have them going very far. It's going to be a difficult task, but I would not be shocked if we saw a draw in that game. Argentina.
Oh, no.
That's definitely. I think that's the game to watch. One of the two games to watch in this group stage, along with we'll talk about it in a second. Germany and Spain.
Yeah.
I think the best one. Second, I believe, unless I'm forgetting something right now, is I believe Mexico versus Argentina.
Yeah.
I think that's gonna be.
I
really
like that
interesting
matchup.
match.
I like that matchup.
Saudi Arabia, that's gonna kind of be like how should I say this? Like these three teams, Poland, Mexico, and Argentina.
They're very top heavy, right? Aren't
Saudi
they?
Arabia is gonna be like that chance to get a win and get 3 points. That's what Saudi
They're like
Arabia is gonna
Costa
be.
Rica when they had that like super group with like like whoever they
Yeah.
played in that last World Cup. It's like the same thing.
It's just
Sleeper.
yeah.
Definitely spoiler. They could definitely play spoiler in a group. I feel
Saudi
like
Arabia, yeah. And that's I do believe they'll lose the 3 games.
Yeah.
But I think they definitely. Who knows?
I think they could at least sneak a tie out too.
Yeah.
Find a way to get on the board at least.
No,
Go back home
definitely.
happy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And Poland, I don't see much there with Poland. I know they're sneaky and they got here and it really.
Once again, top heavy. I mean, they got
Yeah,
Lewandowski.
and then
Is
you have
Szczesny in
in
goal?
goal,
Um,
and he's been good for Juventus. But,
Yeah.
Mexico, I don't know. I don't know if they tend to choke in the round of 16. Like they'll lose 7-0 to Chile in the
yeah. If,
Copa America.
when you look at like in your brackets,
They'll
I
lose to
believe
Brazil.
who would they play in the round 16?
If they go in second,
They go like France or someone like
Yeah,
something
they-
like that.
they
We
would
actually
play
get to see
France.
their pick with Colin coming up in a second, so we get to hear
Now,
who they would
The
play.
funny thing is, Mexico could save the world in this World Cup. Here's why, right? They finished second. They play
Okay.
France. They can knock off the world champions. So we won't see a back-to-back champion. No one wants to see that. Let's be real. All right. If they finish in first, Argentina finishes second. Argentina can beat France, I think, fairly easily.
Yeah, I think so as
and
well.
Mexico could really save
They
everyone
could
here.
change the course of the World Cup.
They could change the course of this whole World Cup. And that similar thing with the USA. England's got to finish first if they want to have a chance.
Okay, I can bring up something about the US's group real quick. I know I've heard a lot recently that people want Greg Berhalter fired for not bringing Ricardo Pepi. That is a very fair argument. However, I think if the US finds a way to not make it out of the group, which is very possible, Iran and Wales, they're competent. Greg Berhalter should be fired immediately. I mean, you don't bring Ricardo Pepi, your leading goal scorer from the World Cup qualifying group stage. But you bring on Christian Roldan to play central midfield. No, I don't get it.
I think Pepe is playing. He's playing in the U21, so he's gonna be playing the U21 whenever that is.
I think that's in I think it's next year actually, but I mean it's a very interesting situation. But you can go ahead, keep going, Chris.
No, I agree with that. I don't know if it's right to. That's a very mind-boggling decision, but I don't know if you'd want to fire your coach heading into a World Cup.
No, at the end of it.
Yeah.
I mean,
What
I mean, usually like each team that finishes in dead last usually sacks their coach instantly.
I hear a lot of similar thing with Mexico. I think Mexico and USA are on
I
similar
think
levels.
I mean, you saw in World Cup qualifying, USA got 4 points against Mexico.
And Mexico, I know a lot of fans. They don't like the coach Tata Martino.
He's not very likable.
He is Argentinian, and so he knows the way Argentina plays, and he scouts them a lot. So watch out for that Mexico-Argentina game.
Yeah,
for sure. That's all I gotta say. But Argentina and Mexico, they're advancing.
All right, let's move it over to Colin for Group D. Colin, take it away.
So, as you guys are pointing out, Group D contains the defending champion, France. Now, France is kind of banged up going into this. They don't have superstar Paul Pogba. I'm sure that's going to be a pretty noticeable loss for them. But this team is not short on star power. We saw just the phenomenal job in the World Cup back in 2018 that Mbappe had, and I think that he'll mostly keep it up. But I think what the biggest story of Group D is how France is going to play against Denmark, because over this summer, Denmark beat France twice. Back in June, beat them 2-1, and in September, beat them 2-0. So this game on Saturday, November 26th with France and Denmark is one of my top games in this group stage. I'm really interested to see how could it be possible Denmark beats the defending champions 3 times in a row? I mean, I don't see that happening personally, but I mean, Denmark's definitely going to be, I think, a team to watch out for here in this group stage. But ultimately, it is very hard to pick against France. So I'm going to go France is number 1, and I think that both France and Denmark do advance.
I like that group. I like that pick. I mean, France, you forgot. I know there's one more name. If you don't know, a central defending midfielder, N'Golo Kante, is pretty much fully out of the tournament as well, even though that's a big one as well. But I love their depth in midfield. Kylian Mbappe is very good. Antoine Griezmann is also on the wing for them. They've had some good depth everywhere else. So I think France is still a force to be reckoned with in a way, despite them missing 2 of their best players. And if you really like, I mean, Pogba, he's interesting because like I feel like he's really overrated, especially when he's with United. Juventus, he's kind of like come back down to earth a little bit. So I feel like that's why he hasn't played. There you go. So but France, you can't pick against him, obviously. And you can never pick against them.
A lot of Real Madrid players on that team.
That is true. That is true.
Benzema,
yes.
That's their biggest player.
I think,
he's not right.
I mean, you go Griezmann on the left, Mbappe on the right. Benzema looks much better at center forward than I think right wing because they rock that 4-3-3 attack.
How about Arsenal legend Olivier Giroud?
Olivier Giroud off the bench. And then, one of my favorite players.
I mean, Camavinga, I think he's on this team.
I think so.
I mean, defense is crazy too, though. They've got Varane at center back. Varane's at center back. Hugo Lloris is in goal. I mean, it's just. They are definitely the most complete team in the World Cup by far.
We got a little thing called the World Cup curse, though.
Yes.
Who knows?
I mean, I actually want to bring that up because that's a good thing you mentioned that. For those who don't know what the World Cup curse is, we're going to go back in time. We're going to go to 2014. I believe it was 2010 was won by France, I believe, right? Oh no, Spain. Correct. So 2010 was Spain. 2014 they go into the group stage. They get grouped. Germany wins in 2014, right?
Germany won
2014. They go into the group stage in 2018, and they get grouped by South Korea. So dead last in the group that they were expected to qualify, and kind of like what Poland did in that World Cup as well. But 2022, can we see that with France? I highly doubt it. I mean, this is basically the same group that they had in 2018, excluding one team. So I mean, Peru, you can mention them as well. I mean, they're a very confident team, despite them in South America, drawing Bolivia at home and drawing Venezuela.
Peru's not in this group.
No, Peru's not in this group?
No, it's Australia.
Oh, Denmark, correction, Australia. I got my groups confused. Australia, sorry for that. They finished 3rd in their group in Asia. They played ahead, and they struggled against teams like Japan and whoever else was in that group, but they also struggled against Oman, who is like a very small nation in Asia. So I feel it's a very interesting group for France. They should get it out with Denmark, but we're going over to Christian to break down his first group with Group E.
All right, so here with Group E, this is tough because you've got 3 very good teams in Spain, Germany, and Japan. But with the first place in that group, I'm gonna have to go with Spain. I look at Spain. They ended off a little bit short in the Euros, losing to Italy on PKs. But when you look at Spain's roster, you still have You still have Jordi Alba. You've got veterans like him, Ashpilicueta, Carnivajal. You've got Unai Simon in goal, and you've got Xavi, Koke, Pedri, who's a rising star, and his passing game is phenomenal. So I think that they are the team to beat in this group, and I think that in a close second, we're going to get Germany. I feel like Germany is going to redeem themselves from losing in that Euro game against England and losing in the World Cup in 2018, getting grouped in there. I think they come back with a vengeance, and I think they find out that they have something to really play for and put their country on their backs. And I think they come in second. Coming in third, I'm gonna have Japan. Now, in my eyes, Japan is one of those sneaky teams. I believe that Japan, they're fast paced, they move very quick. So I believe that Japan, maybe even Japan, can upset Germany or someone, and they could possibly flip to the 2 spot. I think that it can either be one of those teams. And last, we have Costa Rica, Costa Rica just isn't that good of a team. I remember in 2014 in watching the World Cup in Brazil that they had a complete team. You know, they had heart. That team was hard to beat. I remember, and now they don't really have. Is Navas is in goal still, isn't he?
Yeah.
So I mean, Keylor Navas is your best player. He's your goalie. He's the heart and soul of your team. But like besides him, it's not really much of anything. So they don't really have anything brewing over there. But I have Spain winning, and I've got Germany in second. But watch out for Japan, because Japan, you never know with Japan.
That's a very good point with Japan. First of all, I gotta mention something. I got Costa Rica and Peru mixed up. Peru lost in the Intercontinental Playoff. Costa Rica did not. So, yeah, I like that pick. I mean, in my bracket personally, I had Germany. I mean, they've looked better in qualifying despite losing to freaking North Macedonia at home in Berlin. But I think Germany, that's a very good pick with Germany, Spain, Japan being a sneaky team. I mean, like they've won. They were actually more in a competent group than Iran was, because it split between the two, and they have Australia. They had someone else in their group. So I mean, if you look at that team, Japan looks more complete. I mean, it's a very good point to say that they had a chance to upset anyone in any match they've played in. But yeah, they've looked good, and I like that pick. But we're actually going to keep it with you because you got Group F as well.
Yeah. So Group F is more of a close one. I think Group F is going to be extremely close. In Group F, we have Belgium, Canada, who lit up the Northeast, North America, and Morocco and Croatia, who in the last World Cup made it to the final. Now, I'm going to be honest. I think that Belgium wins this group because recently I heard of the news that Romelu Lukaku will be on the roster. And that is huge because he's 6'4" and he's just a menace. He is gigantic, and you cross one into the box, you have to have at least 3 defenders guarding him because he is a beast. He's an overall beast. You've got Kevin De Bruyne crossing the ball in. You've got Hazard. You got Thorgan Hazard on the wing. You just have an overall team there that's just Thibaut Courtois as well. Almost forgot about Courtois.
Center backs too.
Center backs.
Vertonghen, Alderweireld, I think. Right? Yeah.
They are, in my eyes, they are the second most complete team next to France. I just think that they're definitely tough to play against, and with Lukaku at striker, they're going to be extremely versatile and they're going to be very hard to guard. Second, this was hard, but I have Croatia going second. I was thinking about it, and Croatia still has Luka Modric, which this will probably be it for him.
Yeah.
He's an absolute stud. You know,
the best Croatian ever.
He's just insane. You also have Brozovic, who plays for Inter, who's a midfielder. He's an absolute tank. He's very good passing the ball. You also have Perisic. I was thinking all the names like Perisic. I'll tell you, Perisic has fallen off a little bit, but in my eyes, he's still a stud. and he's very good at getting the ball in the box. He's very skillful with the ball, and he can definitely he can change the game. Between him, Modric, Brozovic, I feel like they are a sleeper, but I think to win the whole thing, they're definitely a sleeper, just like in 2018. But I think they come in second here. But Canada, now we have Canada in close third, this is hard because Canada absolutely lit up like I said earlier, the Northeast. I mean, Canada, they beat Costa Rica, they beat Panama, they beat Mexico, they beat USA, El Salvador, they beat, they're just overall just ran through up here. And it's going to be close between them and Croatia. I actually think that's going to be a sleeper game of the tournament. I think that'll be a very, very good game because Canada, they play hard, man. They play very hard. Just watching them in qualifying, they'll be good. And last we have Morocco. Listen, I'm just going to say it straightforward. They're just the talent in this group. Morocco just can't compete with. I mean, we're talking Belgium, Croatia, and Canada, who all have world-known, superstars. And I mean, Morocco, maybe they sneak out a tie, possibly. I mean, that's probably the best you're looking at for them, but they're just not overall. They don't have the star power that these other three teams have.
So, yeah, I like those picks. I mean, at the end of the day, you're seeing Canada. I mean, you forgot to mention a couple of guys there. You got Jonathan David in the attack, along with Alphonso Davies at left back. He's been very versatile for them. Canada also with Tajon Buchanan from the MLS at New England Revolution. Very good team as whole. Their concern, of course, is in goalkeeping because it wasn't spectacular, but they did what they needed to do. I mean, at the end of the day, I like the picks of Belgium, mentioning Courtois and Romelu Lukaku being that big target man that they've needed for their entire qualifying run. He carried them other than that game against North Macedonia. But at the end of the day, Morocco in Asia, I'll go over them real quick. They went up and had to beat Mali in the final round of qualifying after Mali scored an own goal, and then Morocco did nothing for 180 minutes. So very boring tie there. And at the end of the day, you'll most likely see Morocco and Canada exit. But we're going to head over to my other group, Group G, a very fun group in Group G with a couple of underrated squads. And we're going to dive right into my projected group winner. I think everyone's projected group winner and possible tournament favorite, Brazil. Yes, Brazil, one of the best teams in the world and have some of the best forwards in the world. We'll start with them first with, of course, Neymar and Vinicius Jr., plus one of the best goalkeepers in the world in Ederson, and a lot of other positions that are very loaded. I mean, if you go back to their World Cup qualification campaign, 45 points in 17 matches in the gauntlet of South America. Very impressive. They topped their group, 2 games better, 6 points better than Argentina. But they just have that talent level, and everything's just coming together for them. I feel like this could be a big moment for Brazil. Unfortunately, they did not win the recent Copa America, which may have stunned some people that Argentina did win and with the route Brazil had. But at the end of the day, they're still the favorites in the group and possibly the whole tournament. Issues with the team is defense, despite being led by Marquinhos from PSG. Their issue is that they are very old and not as fast as some of the other squads in this group, particularly Switzerland. But I still feel like they should be the favorites of the group. I'm going to put them on 9 points, and they got out this group with pretty much ease. Next team I'm going to talk about, Serbia, one of the most underrated teams out of UEFA. Especially the forward position, and they're in their 3rd consecutive World Cup. After they played in the previous World Cup, they actually got grouped by 2 of the teams that are in this group right now, Brazil and Switzerland. But a fun fact about them, they've never made the Euros as Serbia, which may have been a little bit of a shocker because they've been very recent in the World Cup stage, but they've never played a game as known as Serbia. It was Yugoslavia in 2000. But at the end of the day, despite them showing a little bit inexperience in the squad, they still have a lot of talent. Issues, they are carried by their forwards. Their defense, not as spectacular, which is a trend apparently in the teams that I've been covering today. But with the squad with how much they rotate and the inconsistency, the cohesion might not be the best, and especially with them rocking a 5 in the back, it might be a little bit of an issue. Next team we're going to dive into is Switzerland. They have been surprisingly good in the Euros, World Cup, not as much success, but they've still found a way to get success. Another underrated squad, and they have the ability to not lose. I feel like that's a trend that we've seen more in Africa. I've watched a lot of the African qualifying. They have a way to not lose, and they topped the group that featured Italy because Italy could not beat Bulgaria and Northern Ireland. Yes, that is hilarious. But at the end of the day, they played in the previous World Cup, made it to the knockouts, and got knocked out in the round of 16. They have made 5 straight World Cups, and 3 of the last 4 that they've made it to the knockouts. And at the end of the day, they've also been very good in the Euros, making it into the knockouts, including a quarterfinal run, 2 attempts to go in 2016. But the issue with the team is that they get carried in goal scoring by Shaqiri. Granit Xhaka, their captain, has not been known to score goals. He is a playmaker. No one really can do anything on offense in this team. That could be their lineup is also very predictable because in qualifying, they rocked the same lineup for all but 1 match. Yeah. And that match, by the way, was Bulgaria away, which they did win, but that could possibly haunt them. And finally, we have a bigger giant in Africa and Cameroon. For those who don't know how African qualifying works, you get drawn into a giant group stage against 3 other teams. Cameroon drew Ivory Coast, who are also very competent, and they're ranked 11th in Africa. But Cameroon won their group by 2 points, beating Ivory Coast on the last day. And then they went out and beat Algeria in a home and a leg, in possibly the greatest home and a leg Africa has ever seen. As Cameroon, after allowing a goal in the 119th minute, they score in the 124th to take the lead in the tie and win on away goals. But this is their first World Cup since 2014. Despite being the most African qualifier, this is their 8th made World Cup. They have won 1 match since their debut in 1982, and that was in 2002, which is that's a kind of a problem. But they're gonna get outclassed. They have Carl Toko Ekambi, who scored that winner in Algeria, but I feel like he can't carry the squad all the way. Cameroon, very good defensively, similar to Switzerland, has found an ability to not lose. And they've come out behind to beat Ivory Coast twice. Sorry, beat Ivory Coast once and almost come back and beat Ivory Coast the second time, losing 3-2 in the other match. But at the end of the day, I feel like my ranking is going to be a little different than a lot these guys have. I'm going to rock Brazil and Serbia. I feel like they can make some noise. I love their attack, and they've been red hot in their attack, despite being seen Switzerland. I'm going to go Brazil, Serbia, Switzerland, and Cameroon. Chris, I saw you a little bit of reaction there. What's your thoughts on that?
Because I have Switzerland advancing.
So you think the guys carried by Shaqiri are going to make it out?
Think so,
it's their form, isn't it?
They're one of the sneakiest teams out there, man.
They are very sneaky. They're very good.
Win a group with Italy. They beat France in the last.
They got bailed because Northern Ireland and Bulgaria wanted to win a match.
No, I get
Northern
that.
Ireland, by the way.
Northern
Ireland, by the way, is not easy to play in. Switzerland's only draw, one of their 2 draws, was 2 away to Northern Ireland. Switzerland beat Italy and drew Italy in Milan.
That's big.
So, but at the end of the day, I don't feel like they played in Italy's good. Northern Ireland, you can argue.
Really
Bulgaria
good.
is who the hell knows. But Serbia beat Portugal twice.
Yes, and I believe so did
fully
Switzerland.
Healthy. No, Switzerland got a win and a draw. So I feel like playing Serbia's group, I think it may have been a little bit more complete. I think Serbia, their attack has also been red hot domestically as well. I feel like Serbia maybe being a little more form. I feel like Serbia gets out of this group in second.
I don't know. I think
it's an underdog pick. They can finally make their first knockouts, not named Yugoslavia. I feel like this is their time. They have to do it eventually. I feel like this is their time.
I saw they lost 4-0 to Portugal a few weeks ago, but still, they're better. They beat Spain.
I did watch that match. That was pretty bad. They did beat Spain. I do remember that.
I think they could beat Portugal in a round of 16. I don't think so, but they
could.
So I got Switzerland.
We get to go and possibly go into that in a second, but we head into Group H, the final group with Colin.
Yep. So basically, I think the biggest storyline in Group H, at least from what I'm seeing, is could this possibly be Cristiano Ronaldo's final ever World Cup? He's currently 37 years old. Obviously, such a decorated, fantastic career. But, I think that Portugal is going to be very hungry to try to win this one for him. In any case, being on the biggest stage, possibly many people debate whether, him or Messi were the greatest player in the world. I remember that was such a common debate.
Still is.
Yep, still is to this day. But regardless, I think that this Portugal team is going to be hungry. And for that reason is why I'm going to pick them as to be the number 1 team to come out of this group. Looking around, I think I'm going to go with Luis Suarez in Uruguay to be number 2. Then I'm going to go Ghana number 3 and South Korea number 4. But yeah, well, at least in terms of this group, I'm just very interested to see how Cristiano Ronaldo responds. Actually, I saw a stat. He's never scored a goal in a knockout round. So
that is true.
Yeah, so so very interesting.
He's won a Euros, but can't do it in the World Cup.
Can he maybe have his signature moment in this World Cup? I mean, this might be his last chance to do so.
Colin's 100% right. And at the end of the day, their big issue of Portugal is that Ronaldo, if you look at Ronaldo, he's barely played for United. I feel like, though, they say the World Cup is the time for change for some players. This could be Ronaldo's like changing moment for the season and possibly get him that transfer in January.
He'll come back.
He will come back in mid-December, possibly scoring. Some might argue he could win the Golden Boot in this thing. So at the end of the day, if he has that big tournament, that could spark some domestic storylines that we're going to be able to see throughout the calendar year. It's going to be a lot of fun to see. I think we all do hope Ronaldo finds a way to actually become good in this World Cup. I think we all do. But it is now time to go into our knockouts. Due to timing, we're just going to jump straight into the Final Four. So we each projected our own Final Four. I'm going to kick us off. Out of the left side of the bracket, I'm going to dive in. In the top half, we have the teams of Netherlands, USA, Argentina, and Denmark. Argentina makes it out after the USA lose to Netherlands and Argentina beats Denmark. Argentina is going to play Brazil, who gets out of the bottom half, despite after beating Spain. I had a feeling they would like come from behind because I feel like that's a very common South American trait. And I have Brazil making it the final out of the left side of the bracket. And moving over to the right, let's go top right. We have England in my bracket. We have England, Senegal, who is different than Chris's, France and Mexico. England and France make it out, and then France does beat England. It is not coming home. I am sorry, England. In the bottom right, we have Belgium, Germany, Portugal, and Serbia. Serbia, your time ends here. You do lose to Portugal. And I'm going to go with Germany. Yes, Germany, the more experienced. I feel like Belgium, they are terrible in the first half. They are one of the worst first half teams statistically, and Germany is one of the best, despite not scoring to North Macedonia. So I feel like Germany and Portugal. And I'm going to say this is Ronaldo's time so far. Portugal does beat Germany, and then Ronaldo finds a way to bottle it and loses to France. Brazil and France is my final. Brazil is my World Cup champion. And Argentina wins the third place game because that's going to be Messi versus Ronaldo. I feel like that's going to be the most watched third place game ever. Chris, what do you got? Who do you got going on the line?
Well, my Final Four. Well, let me discuss this. So on the left side of the bracket, I have Argentina in the quarterfinals. I think the U.S. does fall short against the Netherlands. I just think they're a better team than the USA. I think Argentina would take on
Argentina, if they win their group, would probably take on Denmark.
Okay, so it's that group. Yeah. So I think Argentina easily wins that group. So I think you get a quarterfinal of Netherlands, Argentina, which Argentina wins a rematch of the semifinal from 2014. On the bottom half of that bracket, I have Spain losing to Croatia. I have Croatia.
Interesting.
Because I saw a stat. You guys remember that game, 2014 World Cup,
How could you
Netherlands, Spain, 5-1 Netherlands.
Oh yeah.
Since that game, right? Spain has only conceded more than 2 goals in a game 4 times, and 2 of those times came against Croatia. And in fairly recent memory as well, not that long ago. One of those was the loss in the round of 16 in the Euro, where Spain beat Croatia, but not before. And it was a 3-3 game, and it went to extra time. Spain won. Spain's really good, but I think Croatia is going to take them because that team is not very different from the World Cup. It made the only difference. It's a big loss, but they don't have Ivan Rakitic anymore. But he's gotten older. Also, Ante Rebic from AC Milan, he's a good striker. He's not on this team either. But other than that, I think they still have Mandzukic?
No, he's gone.
He's another one.
Gone. That was sad. In 2020, we got to see the end of Mandzukic.
Yeah,
he was very good for them.
Forgot about that. But they still, they have Modric. Like we talked about them. I think they're going to run away against Spain. I'm going to say they win 2-0.
Who do you got now going
Brazil? I think Brazil's going to beat Croatia, so Brazil's going to be facing Argentina.
So you got Argentina and Brazil as well. Interesting.
I think Argentina's going to beat Brazil.
So Argentina beats Brazil and they go to the final. Right side, who do you got?
So France is unfortunately it's the end of the road for Mexico. I just believe that's going to be a kind of an easy win for France. Unfortunately, Mexico's not good in the round of 16. England, I have them beating Ecuador. I just think they're clearly the better team. Bottom half of the bracket, I'm gonna go with my hot take of the tournament, and this could very well be a cold take, an extremely cold take, is that Belgium are frauds. They are so good.
What did
on
I
paper.
say? What did I say?
So good on
I said the
paper.
same thing.
Did
I
you?
said the same. I said Germany beats Belgium.
Yeah,
I
no,
did say that.
Belgium, they're so good, and they can make it to a semifinal
They
in the World
can.
Cup, but they can also fall so short. They really can. I don't know what it is. They'll lose to they lost to Wales in the 2016
North
Euro.
Macedonian World Cup qualifying.
I don't know what it is. They always find a way to just fall short. I don't know what it is with that team, but they can. This could be a cold take to go all the way to win the whole thing. But I think they're going to lose to Germany. I think Germany's
like
really
that.
good. I
And
want to say Germany's going to beat Portugal, as I have Portugal beating Switzerland. But I just think Cristiano Ronaldo is going to score. I think he's going to score a goal.
is this a
against
trend that
Germany.
we're all going to go with? That we're going to have like the similar picks?
Yeah, we probably are. Ronaldo in Portugal, along with the big loss for Portugal. They don't have Diogo Jota. From
That is
Liverpool.
true. That
Big loss.
that is a
Huge loss.
They don't play him though. That's the I
They
don't think
don't,
so.
but
I don't
he's
think that's
so
as much
good.
of a
He could
problem.
be a great player off the bench.
He
they
can.
don't have.
The super
So-
sub that they need.
Portugal is gonna make it. They're gonna beat Germany. I have them beating Germany. So now the semifinals. I'm gonna say that England. I'm gonna say France beats England. I'm gonna say that game goes to penalties, and I think Portugal is gonna beat France and go to the final to face Argentina.
You want that final? I think
Portugal. You look back recent history against France. They're all close games.
they are.
They're all close
They are.
games. A lot of draws. I think that game's also gonna go to penalties. I think Portugal is gonna win. And I think the winner of this World Cup is going to be Argentina, and Messi is going to walk into the sun
As
with
his
a
trophy. I like
trophy.
that.
And just the two fantastic careers coming to an end. That's going to be one of the most watched fun. That's going to be the most watched sporting event probably ever. Yeah,
All right.
that's possibly
Nah.
very well.
All right, Colin.
ever.
Who do you got, real quick?
So I'll just quickly jump into my Final Four and championship game. So my Final Four on the left side, I have Argentina and Brazil. I think clearly these are two teams that, have had a long history of World Cup success, and I think that will continue here. But I'm going to kind of be similar to Christy. I'm going to go with Argentina advances to that final. Over on the right side, I'm going to be ending up going with France versus Germany. And I think that I'm going to say Germany takes it here. I think that the defending champions go down in the semifinals, which sets up an actual rematch here of 2014 Argentina and Germany. And much like Chris said, we're going to have the same pick here. I think that Argentina takes it. I think that Lionel Messi, unlike Cristiano Ronaldo, is the one who may ride off into that sunset in this final ever World Cup with the championship. And I think that Argentina kind of avenges that 2014 loss, a loss that I'm sure that they want to get back. And Argentina wins its first World Cup since 1986.
You guys are gonna think I'm crazy. You guys are gonna think I'm nuts.
You're a guest. What
My Final Four: Argentina, Brazil, Denmark, Belgium.
Really?
Wow.
Denmark.
That's sad.
I like
Wow.
that pick.
I think Denmark is such a sleeper. I mean, they performed well in the World Cup in 2018. They performed well, So I just have a feeling that Denmark, they beat England on that right side. I just feel like and when they're hot, like when a team is hot, they're basically unstoppable. It's scary playing a hot team, and I think having Denmark play Belgium, they're both talented teams, but they're not like to the likes of France in them. And I think Belgium winds up beating Denmark, and I think your final is going to be Argentina, Belgium, and I think Argentina beats Belgium in the final.
I like that. Well, we're gonna keep rocking our traditional segment now. We're gonna go back into your usually regularly scheduled programming, as some would say, and the NFL. Colin, the New York Giants. What the heck was that game against? I mean, before we dive into the Giants, I'm just gonna dive into my game of the week. If you don't say Minnesota and Buffalo is the greatest game of the year, you are crazy. We saw the greatest, I debatably, since the Odell catch, the greatest catch we've ever seen with Justin Jefferson in the fourth quarter with 2 minutes to go, making a one-handed catch, triple covered on the way to Minnesota getting stopped in the 1. Buffalo fumbles the ball in the end zone, resulting in a touchdown. Buffalo then gets a field goal. Game goes overtime. Minnesota gets their field goal as expected. And Buffalo, well, they threw a pick in the end zone. So that's how the game ends. But Colin, now we go dive into the other an interesting game with the 1 o'clock segment with the Giants and the Texans.
Yeah, this game was much closer than it really needed to be. And the Giants really kept the Texans in this game, but that's just been the theme so long this entire season. The Giants, every single game besides their loss to Seattle has ended in a one-possession game. But the biggest story that, at least when I'm looking at this box score, is Saquon Barkley. 35 carries, a career high for 152 yards and a touchdown. And this is big for a huge reason because for so long, the narrative around Saquon Barkley was that he was mostly just the football equivalent of a home run hitter, a guy who might break away for one big 60 or 70-yard run, but he can't really be consistent in terms of churning out those 4 or 5 yard carries like we see Derrick Henry basically make a career off of. But I think what Saquon's proven here this year, it's especially impressive coming off his ACL injury, is that he can be that reliable bell cow back, a guy who you can really rely on those third and short situations on fourth down. He's just been so phenomenal. And Daniel Jones, too. Sure, he only threw 17 passes, but he had the highest pass rating of any quarterback in any game this entire season. At least from the way I see it, as I think that Daniel Jones should get more opportunities to throw the ball. I think that obviously you're more successful running the ball with Saquon Barkley, but I think eventually the time's going to come where a team's going to know that they're going to keep on running with Saquon. They're going to stop the run. And I think you have to let Daniel loose to some degree. Now, sure, the wide receiving core is not there. Hopefully, we're still praying in Giants land we can get Odell Beckham, but that's still a long shot. We have to see. Apparently, Odell did say, by the way, he'll have that decision by the end of November. Many people think it can come between the Giants and Cowboys. Still have to wait to see. But yeah, the Texans really stayed in this football game, but it just seemed like every single time the Texans got near the red zone, they shot themselves in the foot. We saw Davis Mills throw interceptions. We saw even Dameon Pierce fumble with the phenomenal season that he's been having. But overall, the Giants are 7-2, and next week it looks pretty easy too because you get the Detroit Lions. Now, do not get me wrong; this could also be a trap game. If anything, I think the Detroit Lions are a scary football team. We saw how dominant that offense was in the first couple weeks of the season. Averaging about 35 points a game. Jared Goff is looking phenomenal, and I mean, still, even if he's not the greatest coach, I still love Dan Campbell there as head coach of the Detroit Lions. Just the energy he brings to that team. But yeah, we're 7-2 right now. And with the Eagles and Cowboys losing, the NFC East is looking much better for the New York Giants. But I think it's only appropriate here. Christian, also as a Giants fan, I want to get your take on what you've been seeing from the Giants so far.
So far this season, as a Giants fan, like you can't, no complaints. I mean, Coach Dable has done a phenomenal job, seeing us Giants fans happy once again.
It's been 6 years.
It's been 6 years, and Coach Dable has definitely changed the culture of the New York Giants, and that's exactly what they needed. Daniel Jones is a leader in that locker room now. He's not that guy who doesn't really open his mouth anymore. You see him fired up after big plays and big touchdowns. Saquon's having a career year, and nobody really talks about it, but we should really talk about Dexter Lawrence.
Yes, absolutely.
Dexter Lawrence has been lighting it up. Dexter Lawrence, Leonard Williams, and I know Kayvon, the numbers aren't there, the sack numbers aren't there, but that man creates pressure. Mm-hmm. He creates pressure, so then Dexter and Leonard could come from the opposite side and just finish the job. So I think that Kayvon will be good. Definitely, he'll be a stud. It's just going to take some time. The only thing that concerned me this past week was I know we had a few interceptions, but Davis Mills threw for 319 yards.
Yeah. I think typically with the Giants defense has been very bend but don't break, but I want to go back to Dexter Lawrence real quick because I think the biggest thing with his development has just been he's been such a great fit in Wink Martindale's scheme because usually with Patrick Graham, he ran more soft zone. It was kind of more of a drop back defense, and he kind of had Dexter Lawrence as kind of more of a run stopper. But in this Wink Martindale defense, Martindale is really allowing Dexter Lawrence to rush the passer more, and I think that we're really seeing that kind of the Odell trade look even better now because that was a pick we got out of that Odell trade from Cleveland. He's just been phenomenal.
Yeah, he's definitely an impact player. Definitely an impact player. He's been phenomenal this season, and if he keeps it up, I mean, this defense could go miles. Adoree Jackson is an absolute stud. I know Xavier McKinney's banged up because of his little accident in Mexico, but Julian Love's holding it down. Fabian Moreau is the story. He is a story. Houston let him go, and the Giants picked him up, and they turned him into an animal. That he's been playing so well this season. And he's really grown into this defense with Wink Martindale. And I have nothing but great things to say about Wink. Wink has brought back that 2007 mentality with Spagnuolo. He has brought back that culture. And the Giants defense is going to be hard fought defense. And they're going to be a force to be reckoned with. And I think if they make the playoffs, they are going to be a sleeper. I'm telling you, watch out for the Giants.
I agree. Absolutely. And, it's crazy too with Wink Martindale because I personally I like Patrick Graham. I think that, the defense is especially in 2020, that was a pretty good defense, but I think Wink has kind of brought a new aggressiveness to this team and just adding into that culture with Dable. I think it's been an absolutely perfect fit. So hopefully against Detroit, and we're not going to have a show until then, but the Giants will be playing on Thanksgiving against the Cowboys. That's going to be a huge matchup. I'm so excited to watch that. Hopefully the Giants can, kind of exercise some of their demons. Had not won in Dallas since 2016, I believe, in that game where we saw Victor Cruz score he scored a touchdown. We saw Odell, Victor Cruz, Sterling Shepard. Still missed that receiving room. Wish he had that right now. But regardless, let's get into the other news in this week of football. Maybe look ahead to next week.
Yeah, let's just dive right into next week. With some games to watch for you guys. My game to watch, there's a lot of them on this list, but I'm going to go to Foxborough as we're going to go watch the New England Patriots and the New York Jets in a game that will decide someone's season. Yes, you heard me right. 6-3, 5-4 will decide someone's season. The New York Jets coming off a bye, a much needed one. I mean, they've looked good. Underrated. People think they're overrated at 6-3, but no one expected anything from this team in the beginning of the year. They're just getting the job done. Zach Wilson doesn't have to do much. Run game, they're just like that, I guess. And the Patriots, they're I don't know what to think about them. I mean, they have Ramondre Stevenson. He's been good. I mean, we've been practicing for him all week. I mean, you see some of the stuff on the Jets Twitter. They just been like doing tackles against run. I mean, because we shut down their pass game last time, if you think about it. So, but yeah, very, very interesting game there. A game I do besides Dallas and Minnesota. That's another fun game to watch this week. I mean, you look at Kirk Cousins. He's done it again, despite having two awful interceptions in the previous week against Buffalo, and Dak Prescott, who found a way to lose again to the Green Bay Packers. So I feel like Aaron Rodgers found a way last week. He gets the job done. But the game to watch this week, there's a couple other interesting choices. But a game that I don't think anyone wants to watch that I think they should. What about Denver Raiders? Who wants to suck? Who wants to tank for their draft pick? I mean, Denver, they have nothing to tank for because they don't even have their own first round pick. Seattle, you're welcome. Seattle has their first round pick. Vegas, they could possibly be trading Derek Carr. So who knows what happens there? But I feel like that could be a very interesting matchup in the AFC West that could shape how that terrible bottom of the division has been. I mean, you saw what Vegas did last week. They went out and lost to Jeff Saturday and the Indianapolis Colts. It is hard to keep a straight face saying that. Sorry, Jeff Saturday.
And also his tweet saying the Raiders look horrible.
Oh my God. That was great. That was great. I saw that probably all over my Instagram feed, and that was phenomenal. But before we dive into Thursday Night Football, like we usually do, of course, we have the questions, as we've done the last 4 weeks or 3 weeks. I don't know how long it's been. But the first one, and we forgot to mention this, from our first question is, who wins player of the tournament? Who wins Golden Boot, the Golden Glove? Who wins all of that? So I'll begin. Golden Boot, and he's going to win my MVP as well. I'm going to go with Neymar. Yeah, I'm going with Neymar because I feel like despite them having a very balanced team at Brazil, Neymar just found a way to just bag goals in qualifying. He led their team in qualifying with 9 goals in 16 matches. So I feel like Neymar is going to be the X factor that people think it's Vinicius' time. It's Richarlison. It's Antony. Nah, I think it's still Neymar and possibly his last World Cup if you think about it, unless he wants to play at an older age in the U.S. saying at the most popularity he's ever gotten in his life besides playing for PSG. But at the end of the day, I think it's going to be goalkeeper of the tournament. I don't know. I mean, if you think about it, one name to look out for if Switzerland does go far is Jan Sommer. I do like that pick. You want to go Courtois. I mean, this is not really a good pick for this. I'm going to go with a tangent pick because despite them, I think they're in my final actually with France. I'm going to go with, let me just to make sure that this is correct. I'm going to go with Hugo Lloris. Sorry, correct, not Hugo Lloris because he doesn't even win it. I'm going with another Brazilian. I'm going to go with another Brazilian. I'm going to go with Ederson, who wins it all for me. Brazilian trifecta, and as they win the World Cup. Chris.
All right, so I got a couple, one of them's a pretty obvious pick with the gold. My Golden Glove is going to go to Alisson Becker from Brazil.
So you think he starts over Ederson?
I do think he does. I think he's just been money for Liverpool. I understand Ederson's incredible from Man City, but I think they've leaned towards Alisson starting. I think
it's been very split. I mean,
honestly,
Ederson did start more in qualifying.
Even if it is Ederson, I still think he gets it. I think it's Brazil's goalie. Golden Boot, and this is the leading goal scorer of the tournament. I'm gonna go with Karim Benzema from France.
I like that pick as well. It was for him. It was either him or Neymar. I feel like Neymar just does more for them.
Get ready for this. Golden Ball, the best overall player in the tournament. I'm going to go to Bruno Fernandes from Portugal.
Ooh,
Manchester
I like
United,
that pick.
center midfielder.
I like that pick.
I think he's gonna have. I don't know. Honestly, I haven't been paying attention too much to Man United, other than the whole Ronaldo and Eric Ten Hag,
Situation,
controversy.
Yeah.
But Bruno Fernandes, I remember when he first got there, he was an incredible center midfielder coming over from Portugal, and I think he's him from Man City. I forget his name. Bernardo Silva.
Bernardo Silva
from they're tremendous in the midfield. Bernardo Silva is more of an offensive player, more of an attacking player. But I think I'm going to say Bruno Fernandes wins this. I think he's a really good center midfielder from the Premier
Colin,
League.
who do you got?
I'll be honest with our viewers here. I'm not really sure who to go with here, so I'll copy your pick, Robbie. I'll also go with Neymar.
You like that? So you're gonna copy all my picks. I mean, it's fair. I mean, the picks are. I mean, another name to watch out for the Golden Boot. I'm gonna say Mbappe. I feel like a lot. I think that's a very common pick. I think the betting odds are with Mbappe because he's just built different. I mean, he's probably the best, arguably one of the better players in the world. Messi, I feel like you can give a name for this. An underrated name to give. I'm gonna go with a Uruguayan striker here. I'm gonna say Edison Cavani because he led the team in goals scored in their recent 2 competitions. It wasn't Suarez. So despite Luis Suarez playing in Uruguay, I'm gonna go with Edison Cavani. Chris, you got some names to give to us?
Yeah, so I'm thinking I have another sleeper. So I think Golden Boot. I think the clear choice here is Mbappe. I mean, Mbappe, he's got the speed. He can finish. I mean, he's a complete striker. And he's just an overall, he's crazy. He's almost nearly impossible to defend. I don't know. I can't name many defenders that can keep up with him. So I think he's got your Golden Boot. Best goalie in the tournament, Thibaut Courtois. Courtois he's a brick wall. He's very hard to get by. He's huge and he takes up a lot of room. His reflexes are crazy. And I think he gets the Golden Gloves. And I think the best player in the tournament, this is a little, not really a sleeper, but a sleeper. I think Luka Modric, because the best player in the tournament. I just think his passing is amazing, and he can finish. I mean, he takes their free kicks. He knows he's just a one-man wrecking crew. He does it all. And I know he's older. I know he's not what he was when he was younger, but he's still a force to be reckoned with. And I think he will be the best overall player in the tournament with the different skills that he has to utilize.
Yeah, that's actually kind of my reasoning for choosing Bruno Fernandes for Portugal. Is I think he's a great passer, not much of an offensive player, not having the best year. I think he has 5 yellow cards in the year, but he's still a really good center midfielder. I think that's going to change his season for Portugal.
I agree, but unfortunately, that's going to be the only question because we are running a little bit out of time. So we're going to go for our traditional Thursday night football picks. This week we have a matchup I think people really want to watch. The Tennessee Titans, led by Ryan Tannehill and Derrick Henry, and that's pretty much about been it for them. And your Green Bay Packers finally coming off a win. We haven't said that in a good amount of time for them. We'll start with Instagram, see what you guys said. And shockingly, you guys went with the Titans. I was not expecting that. 55% of the vote went for the Titans. It was very close. But I'm going to go dive into my pick first. Aaron Rodgers keeps the momentum. I mean, they're probably one of the worst punt returners I've ever seen in my life. I mean, I've seen some bad ones. I mean, I root for the Jets. What do I expect? I mean, we saw Andre Roberts be really good. I mean, Amari Rodgers was just not it. He was picked up by the Texans, who've actually picked up Benjamin as well, who's been underrated for the Cardinals. But besides the fact, I'm going to go with Green Bay again. I feel like they're going to find a way. I'm going to say it's 23-20. Aaron Rodgers gets it done in a win that they kind of need as well. Chris, who you got?
The game's in Green Bay?
Yeah,
it's in Green Bay.
In Lambeau. That might change my because I chose the Titans to win the
game. You did in the poll.
I
you did.
Honestly didn't pay attention to where it is. I think a Thursday night game in Lambeau looks like the Packers after a big win against Dallas, where they came back at the end there. I think they're going to start to turn it around, and it's going to be a tough, difficult task coming against a really solid Titans team. But I think they're going to do it. I think it's going to be similar score. I'm going to go with I'm gonna say it's a little more of a blowout. I'm gonna say like
more.
a 28-10 game.
Interesting.
I know.
Colin, you got your pick next for us.
So, taking a look at what the Titans have been doing recently, the Titans have not scored 20 or more points since October 9th against the Washington Commanders. In their past 4 games, have not hit the 20-point mark. Now, granted, a part of that could be due to the fact that Ryan Tannehill was out. We saw Malik Willis come in there under center. And, there are some obvious struggles there. But once again, I'm going to roll the Green Bay Packers here. I think that just playing in Lambeau Field on Thursday Night Football, sure, I don't think the Packers, maybe they don't make the playoffs. It's going to be tough for them going forward, especially with all the teams in the NFC. But I think that just a week ago, I was talking about how bad the Packers were looking and how much of a clown show was looking over there. But I think that they're going to at least put up a fight going forward in November and December. I think that Aaron Rodgers is not going to go down that easily. He's still having a pretty good year. I think that we saw Christian Watson have such a phenomenal game against Dallas.
That's a name we haven't really heard.
He really broke out in that game, and he was a guy who had a lot of criticism. He was dropping passes. Really, Aaron Rodgers, when he's calling out his young receivers, he was one of the first names that came up. But I think, I'm going to say he has another big game here. I think that Tennessee Titans offense still needs to get kind of needs to get it together. I think that Derrick Henry still has a big game because I think, especially in a cold weather game at Lambeau Field, I think the Titans are going to turn to Derrick Henry and the running game to a big degree. But I'm going to go Green Bay Packers 27-14.
All right, and we'll finish up with Christian. Who do you got?
All right, so going off what Colin said, I actually just checked the weather in Green Bay, and it is snowing. So
Similar to Buffalo.
Yeah, similar to Buffalo, who's not playing home this week because they're getting snow 6 to 8 feet. Is that what they said?
I think it's 4 to 6. Which, by the way, hold on, can I say something real quick?
Yeah.
By the way, for those who don't know, Buffalo is supposed to see 4 to 6 feet of snow this weekend. That is, if it gets to 6 feet, that is more snow in height than the height of the average running back in this game. The tallest than all of the running backs. The tallest one's 5'11". So, oh my god, that's actually a phenomenal one.
It's like a chipmunk.
It's like a chipmunk running in the snow. But yeah, you continue with your pick.
All right, so I'm a little torn with this pick because last week Aaron Rodgers and Christian Watson, their connection last week was astonishing against a good Dallas defense, but Aaron Rodgers torched their defense. But I don't think they're going to throw the ball as much tonight. And if Green Bay can't stop Derrick Henry, there's no point. But I don't know. See, Green Bay's corners, they got Jair Alexander at corner. They've got Darnell Savage at safety. It's going to be hard to throw the ball against them. Tennessee's going to have to rely on Derrick Henry. And I think that they get it done. I think it's going to be a 21-18, not too high, not too low scoring game, with the snow. And, it's going to be icy. It's going to be cold. But I think Green Bay's going to come up. Now that I think about it, Green Bay's going to come up winning by 3. I think I'm flipping it. I got to think about it. I think Aaron Rodgers, home snowing in Lambeau, primetime football. That's what you want as a Green Bay fan. And I got the Packers winning by 3.
Well, unfortunately, due to timing, that is all the time we got for this week. Special thanks to Christian for joining us. Thank you, of course. Pleasure to have on the show. For those who are watching live on YouTube, thank you for watching us this week. Of course, for our big first special, our first World Cup special. For those who are watching on YouTube after the stream, make sure to join us every week and on Thursday, 5 to 6. We want you guys involved more with the show. And it's going to be awesome if you guys maybe put something in the chat or talk to us on Instagram. So, of course, follow our Instagram at Into the Stands. And for the boys here today, I'm Robbie signing off for now. We'll see you guys in the next episode.